Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't realize I had such a booming voice here today. My name is Sal Santori, and I am a veteran radio host, conservative radio host with nationally renowned shows. And I've been asked to be the Zern voice, the voice for the Zern Community and Veterans Outreach. And at this time, I'd like to welcome you to the Help K campaign for 2023 going through 2025. And the motto is, together we can bring about real change. What we'll be talking about here in this first segment, we have some additional guests, very prominent in their field, highly respected, and bringing us some brilliant information as well. And what we'll be talking about today will be veteran suicide even more defined. We feel, and we're finding this to actually prove itself to be true, that by taking a look and examining some of the causes, some of the contributing factors, I would say, not causes, but contributing factors leading up to veteran suicide, if we're able to identify those and address those and attack those, then we're becoming far more effective in the battle to reduce the numbers of veteran suicides. There are four main ones that I would like to address, and one of them is reintegration and coming back from the field, from the theater, from the combat theater. Reintegration is coming back and being able to assemble into society that is not a military, not a combat-based operation. And one of the biggest things is being able to find employment. We come back and we've had, the whole time we've served, we've had a purpose. We've had that drive. We haven't had to think about what it is that we want to accomplish in the next week, month, 6 months. We pretty much have that understanding. So we've got our purpose. Now we come back and we step out of the military, that purpose all of a sudden changes. And we know it's going to change. That doesn't make it any easier, just knowing that it will. So one of the things that is really major is lack of purpose. We need to reconnect with having purpose, and that's where the employment comes in. The Zern Community and Veterans Outreach has begun a program. It's the Hire a Veteran First initiative, and it's a fast track between employers and veterans. They're not guaranteeing employment. That's not their mission. That's entirely between the veteran and the employer. What the Zern Community and Veterans Outreach is doing is compiling a database of willing employers and visiting with as many veterans as possible to make the match, make that connection. And a lot of times it involves training. And the greatest thing is to have an employer say, we really would like to have a veteran or 5 or 10 working with us, and we want to be able to train. We know that's probably going to be a necessity, part of the learning curve. We want to be able to do that because we want the veteran to understand our practices, how we do things, how our company operates. So by not having previous training in that specific field, there's nothing to unlearn. Another very serious contributing factor is PTSD and mental health, mental influences. And I will testify that there is no troop that's ever served in a combat environment that is coming out unaffected. Varying degrees of PTSD is obvious. or let me correct myself. No, it's not obvious. Mine was not obvious for years. And I don't mind sharing my personal story. Mine was exhibited for years, but not identified. Finally, it was. So we come out of the military with various degrees of PTSD. On top of that, we can have various degrees of mental challenges. The mental challenges come, we believe, from chemical imbalances. None of this does anyone wake up any given morning and say, I think today I have some chemical imbalances and I want to get some more. Doesn't happen. So it's not anyone's fault. It's one of those things that just is, but because it is, makes it very dangerous, very much in need of being recognized and addressed. So now we have two of the factors, and a third one is going to be this disconnection, not feeling connected. And this happens after having no employment, having symptoms that are not being dealt with. And I'm not laying this at the foot of anyone for when I say not being dealt with, because there is evidence that says a veteran can know everything that's out there and choose not to pursue it. So I want to be clear, there's no laying this at any foot of the VA, the veteran, anything, which is one place that we step in, and I will come back to that. So we have a veteran who has not been able to secure employment, has the PTSD compounded by other mental challenges, and now here he sits, okay? Now we've got the financial issues and the family issues that are compounding it. Here's number three. So we have our veteran is faced with possibly losing their home, losing basically everything that either the rest of the family kept together in our absence, or things that we've gained and now are in a position to lose, which causes deep despair, which will take us to number four. And number four is the total disconnection, where we're just isolating. We're not connected to our family. We're not connected to our friends. We're not connected to anything other than our despair. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is oftentimes the final phase of this process. So our mission at the Zern Community and Veterans Outreach is to raise awareness that veteran suicide is a process. There are identifiable steps along the way that we would like to be able to break in the middle of. We'd like to have an intervention. So our mission is to raise awareness, let folks know that this is in fact a process, and let's get together on identifying these and on steps to have the intervention, so that we don't end up having our veterans take a permanent solution to what may be perceived as a permanent situation. However, it is temporary as long as we can address it and work on it. We hope to see you in many of our upcoming events. We'll be traveling throughout and visiting and really trying to get this on fire. And one of the great team members that we have today is Mr. Bill Reed, who is the Veteran Service Director for the Harrisburg YWCA right here in downtown Harrisburg. I've known Bill for many years, and the things that he does, the level of dedication that he brings to what some would consider a job, the passion that he has is immeasurable. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Bill Reed.
Thank you, Sal. And I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out today and giving us the opportunity to speak to you all about the needs of veterans and what we can do to help veterans, not just veteran suicide, but veterans homelessness, and veterans' needs. I think Sal really hit upon the fact that many veterans, when they leave the service, they leave that structure and they leave that support and help they feel they need. There's quite a few programs out there currently that are helping veterans, from the YWCA Greater Harrisburg's programs, our community partners at Veterans Outreach of PA, who are, for example, getting ready to put the final touches on a therapeutic community with tiny homes for veterans. We have our other partners, Volunteers of America, Veterans Quality Service Center, and of course the Lebanon VA Medical Center. And I'm not going to steal the thunder, but there's a lot of partners at the state too that you're going to hear about. What I'd like to say about addressing things like veteran suicide, you're going to hear statistics like every day 18 veterans take their life. What I would just like to say about a statistic, it's just that, a statistic. There's likely veterans out there who take their life and we don't know about it. It is tragic, though, that for veterans 35 and younger, it's the second leading cause of death. That's a problem. There's veterans homeless on the streets. During the most recent point-in-time count of veteran homelessness, there were over 700 veterans identified in Pennsylvania on one night. Veterans have needs and unique needs that come from their service. Sometimes they take it into the service, and while they're there, they do well. But then when they get out, those problems may come back. Or maybe that's that lack of structure, and they needed that structure. But we as not just providers, but all of you as members of the community, family members, friends, you can make a big difference in the lives of these veterans. You can prevent their suicide by just simply asking, are you thinking about harming yourself today? Not an easy question to ask. By making sure that if you see veterans and you know of them, that you get involved, that you keep them from isolating themselves. Make sure they're part of something bigger. Give them a sense of belonging and feeling. And these are things that any one of us can do. It doesn't require special training. It doesn't require special techniques. It just requires being involved and caring, seeing a veteran and asking how they can be part of your life and you can be part of their life. Some things that I think are really amazing in this state is that when I first started working with veterans, I retired from the Navy in 2006. There were far more homeless veterans in this state. We've knocked that number in half since then. And not we, I mean the community, not just the providers, but the community itself. Pennsylvania is a patriotic state. I tell my friends and colleagues that I served within the Navy, Pennsylvania is a great state. And why? Because in Pennsylvania, we care about our veterans, and we do things to help our veterans. At the YWCA, we have a number of housing programs, employment programs, and other programs. But as Sal referred to, not all veterans are ready to go do something. Maybe they have pride. Maybe they don't want to accept the fact that they need some help. And there's no shame in that. I think most every veteran has needed help sometime in their life. In the past, they relied on their shipmates or their battle buddies to provide that help. Now we as members of the community, we can be that help. So what I would say is if you're interested in helping veterans, you're interested in reducing veteran suicide or veteran homelessness or veteran unemployment, you don't have to be a veteran yourself. Find a veteran, reach out to the organizations that are out there, offer to volunteer and help. Go to a veteran stand down. Do something that's going to be part of their life and make them part of yours. And you'll be surprised how they respond and not just start taking care of themselves, but become future leaders that can help other veterans within the community. Thank you.
I hope you all gleaned some type of passion through Bill with his presentation. I've known him, and he's a great guy. He does not have no in his vocabulary when it comes to a veteran in need. And next, I would like to introduce Mr. Nate Silcox, and his title is this long, so I'm not even going to get tongue-tied. I'm going to invite him to introduce himself. Nate, please.
Thank you, Sal.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Nate Silcox. I serve as the Executive Director of the Senate Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee. I serve under Senator Doug Mastriano. It's my honor to be here today to be a part of this event dealing with our 700,000 veterans and the issue of veteran suicide. I'm not a veteran myself, but it's my honor to help serve those that have served our nation. My senator, the chairman, Senator Mastriano, is a veteran. He was commissioned in the United States Army in 1986 and served on the Iron Curtain. While serving along the East German and Czechoslovakian borders, he witnessed the end of the Cold War, and thereafter he deployed to Iraq for Operation Desert Storm to help liberate Kuwait. His regiment led the attack against Saddam Hussein's forces, and after 9/11, Senator Mastriano was the lead planner for the operation to invade Iraq via Turkey. He served for 4 years in NATO and deployed 3 times to Afghanistan. He retired from the U.S. Army in 2017 after 30 years of active duty and retired as a colonel. I say this to emphasize the point that Senator Mastriano has served, been through war, and wars plural, and now in his capacity as chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee, he is serving Pennsylvania's veterans population, which numbers over 700,000. In March, this committee held a hearing on the issue of veteran suicide in Chambersburg, and while this issue is plaguing us nationally, there are a lot of good individuals, organizations, and agencies doing a lot of great things to help address veteran suicide. And I'm here to talk about a couple of those items. And a couple of those good people are with me today. Sal Santori, himself a veteran, radio host, and leads the organization at KZen. Bill Reed is also here with us. We're pleased. Bill has done a number of things for veterans. When this committee held its first roundtable discussion on the issue of veteran suicide in 2019, Bill was there. He was on a panel. And when we held a hearing on veterans homelessness in 2022, he testified. I thank him for his longstanding commitment to supporting our veterans. But today I'm here to talk about what's being done to help address this issue. While not one idea or will solve the issue by itself, each of these items that we'll talk about will help veterans in need on a daily basis. I'll start at the national level with the National Suicide Prevention Line. Up until recent years, we had a 1-800 number for individuals to call if they were contemplating suicide or in crisis. Veterans could press 1 to access the Veterans Crisis Line. In 2018, President Trump signed into law the National Suicide Hotline Improvement Act, which directed the FCC to study the issue and the use of a 3-digit dialing code for the hotline. In 2020, President Trump signed into law legislation designated 988 as a universal number for National Suicide Hotline, starting in 2022. And while there's still work to be done here in Pennsylvania on the 988 issue, this number is a lot easier to remember than the 1-800 number. And again, veterans in crisis just need to dial that 988, hit 1, and they'll be connected to a veteran that can help assist them. In Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Department of Military and Veterans Affairs has taken a number of steps to address the issue and their precipitating factors. First and foremost, they have implemented the Veterans Registry, located on the department's website, www.dmva.pa.gov. Veterans can sign up for updates from the department on programs that serve them. The department has also implemented PA Vet Connect, which aims to connect Pennsylvania's 700,000 veterans to the resources that are available to them and that they've earned across the Commonwealth. Under PA Vet Connect, the department reviews a veteran's needs, finds the resources that meet those needs, and ultimately connects them to the right resources. Since it's launched in 2020, the department has helped coordinate more than 17,000 connections between veterans and federal and state and local government officials, nonprofit organizations, and community leaders. And in 2022, the department received the Abraham Lincoln Pillars of Excellence Award from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs for this innovative program. Senator Mastriano has introduced Senate Bill 447, which would codify PA Vet Connect into law. It was unanimously passed by the Senate in May and awaits further action in the House Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee. Like I said earlier, the committee held a hearing on veteran suicide in March. During the hearing, we heard about the great work by several organizations. Operation Second Chance, founded by Cindy McGrew, has helped provide over $12 million in assistance to veterans and their families struggling to make ends meet and coping with life after war. And in 2020, Operation Second Chance purchased a 275-acre mountainside retreat along the Pennsylvania and Maryland borders, known as Heroes Ridge. And since then, they have hosted more than 320 veteran family members, Gold Star moms, and first responders cope and recover. At our hearing, the Wargo family told their story of their son, Michael, who was deployed to Afghanistan in 2003 and witnessed the death of 10 of his fellow soldiers. Michael struggled with survivor's guilt, suffered night terrors, and ended his own life in 2013. Since then, this Gold Star family has made their mission to speak about this difficult issue. Simply put, they believe we need to convince our veterans that it's okay to ask for help. And switching over to another aspect of this, the judicial system, during one of our roundtable discussions on veteran suicide that was held in 2019 and 2020, Lackawanna Judge Michael Baracey spoke about their Veterans Court, the first in Pennsylvania, and how successful it is, and the others have been across the Commonwealth. Not just in preventing repeat offenders, but getting veterans back on track, getting them on their feet with proper treatment, veterans mentorship and accountability. These problem-solving courts assist veterans who find themselves in trouble with the law as a result of the issues related to post-traumatic stress injuries, or PTSI. As a result of the roundtables, Senate Bill 976 was introduced by Senators Mike Regan and Senator Doug Mastriano, and it was ultimately signed into law as Act 111 of 2020. It codified veterans courts into law, encourages counties to partner on regional veterans courts, and provide an option for a veterans track within a county's problem-solving court. We have 25 veterans courts in Pennsylvania, and they've been fantastic in terms of addressing the issue. They have a recidivism rate as low as 10%. And with this law, we are encouraging more counties to join them without a mandate, all in an effort to do right by our veterans and ultimately save lives. Furthermore, at our hearing in 2022 on the issue of veterans homelessness, we held it out in Pittsburgh at Veterans Place at Washington Boulevard. We talked about this issue, which is another contributing factor to veteran suicide. We heard from many fine organizations there, like Veterans Place, the Veterans Leadership Program in Western Pennsylvania, City Mission in Washington County, and Veterans Outreach in Central Pennsylvania that Bill's a part of, and talked about his Tiny Homes initiative within the city of Harrisburg. So as we've heard, a lot has been done and a lot continues to be done to help our veterans community that are facing many issues, whether it's PTSD, crime, or veterans homelessness. It is so important to get this word out that there are services available. It's not always easy to ask for help, but hopefully today somebody out there will reach out in the areas that these organizations are serving, or sign up for the Veterans Registry or the Department of Military Veterans Affairs website, and ultimately connect to the service that can help them move forward in their life. I'll close with a quote from Senator Mastriano. "America is militarily superior when it comes to winning wars abroad, but our country needs to do more to win the war at home for the lives of our veterans. One veteran suicide is too many, and the numbers we see in Pennsylvania constitute a tragedy. We need our veterans to know that help is available, and suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary problem." Our office has a number of publications that we're going to provide to Sal to get the word out. Dial 988 and press 1 Outreach Toolkit brochure to start the conversation, talking to a veteran when you are concerned, a comprehensive guide to Pennsylvania state benefits for veterans, and suicide prevention. Know the signs, know how to help. We'll provide each of these publications to Sal to get the good word out. We ask that you help do the same. Thank you, and God bless to our men and women who served our nation in uniform. Thank you, Sal.
Again, the team that's here today has a fiery passion, and I hope that came through as clearly as it did for me. I want to thank everyone who's either watching on TV, listening on the radio here in person, for giving us your attention and taking this very seriously. Again, that you can reach out, and I'll make it really, really not difficult to hang on to. Just reach out to me, Sal Santori. You can Google me, and there are plenty. Please ignore the negative stuff, but you can find plenty of ways to reach me through Google, and I'm on there. You can send an email my way, and that is sal@wmrcstudios.com. You can also remember to just look up Zern, Kayzern, and reach out in that fashion. Either way you go about it, what we're asking the public to do is to help. Join us, help Kay to help our veterans, and our mission is to provide everything possible that we can to have our veterans come home, get on the road to a whole different lifestyle that is now the civilian world. And that does take getting used to. So again, I ask for your help. You can reach out. We're looking for people to volunteer. We're looking for people to just become aware and be able to tell somebody else. You know, passing it on is a wonderful thing. You don't even have to know the person to recognize they may be in some very serious trouble inside of themselves, and maybe you just telling them hello or pardon me or excuse me might be the thing that will open the conversation to change that person's lives. You never know. We never know who we're going to reach. So again, we've looked at 4 issues today that are part of the process. There are more, but that we recognize as part of the process leading to veteran suicide, and that is losing a purpose. We want to regain the purpose. We want to do that through employment. We want to take a look at medical needs, PTSD, and mental health issues. And we also want to take a look at financial situations to where this is beginning to be the cave-in. Losing a job was one thing. 6 months, 8 months, a year later, not having another source of revenue. Now we're in big trouble. Now it gets worse. So now we're up to number 3, where it's like we're seeing financial ruin, financial destitute, which will lead to, unless it's interrupted, will lead to number 4, which is total disconnection. And that's really dangerous, because now there's no communication, there's no reach, there's no connection. So our mission is to let everyone know that this is in fact the process. These are some of the things to look for, and our goal is to be able to make some type of interruption in that process. As Nate said, we want to help our veterans to not make a permanent decision to what may well be a temporary situation. So again, my name is Sal Santori. You can reach us anytime at WMRC Studios, and I thank you all very much for your time, your attention, and I do anticipate your help. Thank you, and thank our team.